Hi, everyone.
Jeff's coming to you from the East Coast, Laura.
Hey guys,
Hi, Jeff.
how's it
Jeff has
going?
been involved with Autism Tree for how many years now, Jeff, since we met?
Almost 3 years now.
It's been a huge blessing. This is one reason why we love our Lunch and Learn so much, Julia, is Jeff, we wouldn't get to see each other every week before we did Zooms once a week. And so he's a self-advocate for autism and is really having quite a global reach since we started. Jeff was on our Living Autistically panel. We do a neuroscience conference every year.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you might have, if you come, have you come to any of our neuroscience conferences?
I went to, let's see, I've been to one of them because I remember the second one, I wasn't able to go because I had a conflict, but I've been to one of them, it was amazing.
Yes. Well, we're so excited because our last one was the first one we recorded, and we've had over 64,000 views on UCTV where it's held. So
wow.
We're really, it's nice when good things can come out of the pandemic.
Yes, yes. Yes. And that's, that's the thing, is that there's some things that are really, really they're so difficult, but then there's some things that really provided opportunities for growth and connection. Yeah. And just like this, as you have people from all over the place, whereas before you just were relegated to whoever was there locally or could come in. So access in some ways has definitely grown.
Yeah, I know. So that's a huge positive that we're experiencing right now. Hi, Lupe. Everybody, Lupe is Lupe, how many weeks have you been with ATPF now? Or look at behind her, Julia, is Head Start Kiddos handprints.
Oh,
see it?
Yes, I do.
That's our
that's
new
great.
We'll have to have you over.
Yes, that would be great.
And anyone else who's local in San Diego. And of course, Jeff, next time you're in town, we will be taking you there for sure.
Definitely.
I didn't hear what you said, Loopy. How many weeks is it that you've been at ATPF now?
A little over a month. I started at the beginning of March.
Oh, that's right. You know what? I know that, but it's nice to have you share it with everybody instead of me. Hi, Carlos. Hi, Mark. Are you missing anybody else, Rebecca?
We have a few more, but I think we can get started, and I'll just let them in as we get started. And of course, hello to everyone at home as well who's watching. I have my screen. I'm going to share my screen. So we do record these on our YouTube channel, and we have a whole playlist of all of our Lunch and Learns that we've done since March 2020. But thanks everyone for making the time to join us today. Happy Wednesday. A couple Zoom rules for those of you who are new or who are just joining. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Video sharing is optional, though we love to see all your smiling faces, especially at the end. We will have a Q&A with our guest speaker about 10 to 15 minutes. So you can type any questions or your comments into the chat during the presentation, and I can help moderate that afterwards. Or you can unmute yourself afterwards, and we love to hear from you and see your face as well. So for any of those, please get involved in the chat. We love to see everybody's comments in the chat. A quick update from Autism Tree. We've reached over 672,000 people all over across our social media channels. This is LinkedIn, this is our YouTube channel, our Facebook, our Instagram, across all of our social media. We've grown this. This is a statistic that we started tracking in March of 2020. We've done 74 of these Lunch and Learns to date. Today is number 75. And I'm so excited for our guest speaker today. Since January of 2022, this year, at the beginning of this year, we've already coordinated 43 events for our families and children. These are both virtual and in-person events. We have 23 coming up, but we add these events, that number will shoot up for the rest of the year. We add events every single week. and every month. So always keep checking back on our website calendar to see what's coming up. All of our programs and services are for free. All you have to do is register online via our website. We currently offer 19 programs and 4 in person, including our USD baseball program is going on right now. Our player mentor, we pair all of our kids with USD athletes, like the baseball players in the spring and the football players in the fall. We have a lot more. Also, we partner with a lot of volunteer community partners like Teen Volunteers in Action and San Diego State University. Their Pike chapter is a new one that we will add to our calendar soon. So lots of community partners who want to do fun in-person events for our families too. We have now posted 448 videos on our YouTube channel, which is amazing. Please subscribe if you haven't. I'm so proud of, thanks to everyone who's already subscribed. We have almost 200, 197, which is amazing. We have also posted 387 of those videos have been submitted by volunteers, and we've posted since March 12th. That was one of the main ways that we pivoted during the pandemic, was to post videos daily on all of our social media channels to stay connected, and giving advice to, parent-to-parent advice and what they can do with their kids and families at home. And now it's just organically turned into this amazing resource on our YouTube channel. So I highly recommend you check it out. And also, I wanted to give a special thank you to our new Lunch and Learn sponsor, Cal Able. This is a new community partnership, which we'll also announce this Friday at our e-newsletter that goes out this Friday, our monthly newsletter. You can learn more details about that. Cal Able is a financial savings and investment state program that helps you save money to pay for any disability related qualified expenses. And it's for those who, anybody who has a disability before age 26 is eligible to open a Cal Able account. So they have their website there. I'll also send this out in the recap email as well. They have a quick little video, but this is about, I think, 5 to 6 minutes. So we'll include it in the recap email, and we'll include it in the links to our social media channels so you can watch it on your own time. As well as Cal Able has an upcoming webinar coming up on April 20th. That's next Wednesday, I believe, from 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific time, I believe. So where you can learn more about what is Cal Able, how you can open an account, and the advantages of opening an account. A quick disclosure from the Cal Able team, but if you could pause and read in another time, we'll also include this in the recap email too. So without further ado, I'll pass it off to Dana Hoff. She's our co-founder and volunteer executive director, who will introduce our 75th Lunch and Learn guest speaker, Julia Loman.
Hi, TPF family. So nice to be here today together. It feels like it's been a while to me, and I usually take this time to just really let everyone know how much the Lunch and Learns have meant over the course of the last 2 years, to be able to connect and just kind of keep having that communication and that connection as a family. I continue, and I know Rebecca does too, to feel like we're really building something with the Lunch and Learns, because once again, we send them out after, and a lot of people review them after, if they're not here. Like, I know Karen Wright is usually here, and she texts us letting us know she'll be watching later, but she is not alone in that. We track all of it, especially now because we let Cal Able know what our viewership is, and it just reaffirms our commitment to you to keep doing it. And also because Rebecca and I still continuously use our Lunch and Learns as a resource when we're helping people in the community. So I just want to give you a lot of gratitude for being here, and also to share with you that I do think it helps me stick with my goal for this year, which is to be really centered. And I'm centered back to what Autism Tree is truly all about. The essence of Autism Tree is one family at a time. And I feel like we're doing a really good job this year of remembering that. We just came off last week doing our biggest annual meeting in person in 2 years with all of our program managers, and to really shine the light on all the different programs, the impact they made, and the goals they have this year. This was our 14th annual this year, and I just I really couldn't be more proud of Autism Tree and the impact that we make and the level of love and dedication that I personally see happening. And then the beautiful thing that I know all the time is there's always so much happening that I don't even see, and I welcome that, because that's really what it is. It's organic in how things are coming to be after 19 years of serving one family at a time. I have learned to not just count my blessings this year, but something else. I'm seeing a lot of synchronicity, and that's a rare thing. And I think that maybe it's just happening because we've been growing the tree for 19 years. But I wanted to share a little note that when Rebecca is talking about the Pikes and the Pikes at San Diego State doing something, it's crazy to me because I graduated San Diego State in 1990. Don't gasp for air, Rebecca, as that really shows Rebecca how old I am compared to her, because Rebecca is a San Diego State graduate not that long ago. And it really warms my heart that when I was at San Diego State, I actually was a Pike little sister, because a lot of guys I grew up with were Pikes. And so my friends and I that went to San Diego State, that we all knew each other, we were actually Pikes. So I think it's just, I call that synchronicity. Out of, everything, every school and every fraternity that it could be, it's the one that I remember and being part of. So I love that. I love it because I love when any doors open to build new awareness and heart connections and opportunities for our families that we serve. That is how we do it, and that is how we grow. And I really couldn't be more proud. And I think that it's no accident that Julie is here today. And we always love our pre-calls, Julia. And I just felt, I want you to know, I felt really blessed just talking to you. You really felt so calming to me today. We all have off days, and honestly, I'm having an off day today. I just don't feel that great. But it was really nice to connect with Julia before the call and just to feel blessed by this relationship and just the spirit and the love that I feel from you, Julia. I can absolutely, that's how I do everything every day, is just by connecting with people that have such a heart connection to the children and families. And so this relationship that Autism Tree's had with Head Start is started in 2014 with what you can imagine, one child. And we're going to show a video in a little bit of that child who we did a pivot for, who got diagnosed with autism out of the Head Start organization. But you can see that Autism Tree on this slide has screened over 20,602 children since 2006. And of that screenings, there's 100 preschool sites that make up that amount of screenings, but 64 of those Head Start preschools make up the 100 preschool sites that we've done. So you can tell that over half of our screenings were done within Head Start, and then 30 of those sites within Head Start were NHA, which is where Julia is coming from, is the NHA part of it. And so when you look at the screenings total, it's it's getting close to definitely over 25% of total kids screened. If you got 6,925 Head Start preschoolers since 2014, that's out of our total of 20,602 preschoolers. So it's it's a huge number in all of the screenings that Autism Tree has done. And I think if you look at these slides, you can see Julia there next to Caitlin Hunter, who's our CFO at the time, and she's in the far top left-hand corner. And then to the right is when we were all at the 1,000-person luncheon, and that's Damon Carson, who is going to be in this video that we're showing. And one thing that I personally love about Damon is his heart connection is so real and so organic, because he was actually a Head Start preschooler himself. This is the video that we did in our partnership with Head Start to raise money and awareness to screen all of their preschoolers in 2008. So if you'll take a minute and watch that with me, that'd be great.
Hello, my name is Garrett Hoff. I'm 18 years old. I'm just about to graduate from high school. And I'm also on the autism spectrum. 1 in 50 school-age children, ages 6 to 17, are identified with autism spectrum disorder, also known as ASD. ASD can be diagnosed as early as age 2, but most children are not diagnosed until after age 4. Autism is the fastest growing developmental disability. This year, more children will be diagnosed with autism than with AIDS, diabetes, and cancer combined. The funding for autism is lower than most urgent issues affecting children.
My name is Damon Carson, and I serve as the Executive Vice President in charge of early childhood development for the Neighborhood House Association. When I talk to people about Head Start, it really comes from a close place in my heart. I was a Head Start student here in San Diego, California, back in 1974. And I attribute my ability to have a law degree, my ability to lead a national organization. Really, I can attribute that to Head Start. Head Start was essentially my equalizer. It gave me the greatest opportunities for me to be exposed to a high quality education early in my life. There are over 1 million children across the nation in the Head Start and early Head Start programs. Very early on, when Head Start was created, the leaders of the program recognized the importance of early intervention screenings, developmental screenings, health screenings, to make sure children were getting the necessary resources to prepare them for a successful transition to kindergarten. However, as they require programs to conduct these screenings, they cost money. And to be honest, the funding, the national funding, its current level doesn't support the cost of screening all of our children across the country. We're only meeting 10% of the eligible need in terms of providing screening.
My name is Josefina Ring, and my son Jeremiah is 7 years old, and he has autism. When Jeremiah went to preschool with AKA Head Start, he was screened for early intervention through HPF. When he was diagnosed with autism, we became a family with the Autism Tree Project Foundation. And since then, our family continues to grow. We are so very happy that we made this decision to join them because we have seen so much improvements in Jeremiah. And I can't express how important early intervention is for all families, because when we do that, we're making the first step to what's right.
My name is Dana Hoff. I'm the founder and executive director of the Autism Tree Project Foundation. My husband and I started the foundation over 15 years ago when our son Garrett was diagnosed with autism. Our goal at the Autism Tree Project Foundation is that another family wouldn't have gone through what we went through, which was to take 9 months to get our child diagnosed. We wanted other families to get the information and the diagnosis quickly and then navigate the system to get their child the help they need quickly so that they could be kindergarten ready. Since 2006, we've been providing early intervention screenings. We've screened over 15,000 children. Of that 15,000 children, around 23%, give or take, have been referred on to get required services that they needed to be kindergarten ready. That is the sole goal of our frontline mission. For 15 years, Autism Tree Project Foundation is the only foundation in San Diego County and the Bay Area that has been providing 3 areas: the early intervention, the research of our model, and the programs that we provide. Once a child gets diagnosed, we become like their family. We help them navigate. We help them get out through our 23 programs and services. that really are meant to socialize the whole family. Too many of our families are at home isolated. Our whole goal is to get the whole family out in the community. And we're so grateful that we have so many amazing community partners that help us be able to do that. When we started with Head Start back in 2014, it was a turning point. It was a huge heart connection that we had through our first child at Head Start getting diagnosed with autism. It created a movement in our foundation, a pivot. We went from doing 735 children a year on average to over 2,000 now. And today we're so grateful to be here and have more help and keep pushing until we can do all the children.
The greatest thing about this partnership, it is really working towards a solution and closing the gap of not having enough resources to screen children. It's certainly wonderful to be able to partner with like-minded people, but certainly even better when you're working towards a common goal and solution. It is something that is really unparalleled in this country, and it's truly a national model for other programs to learn about.
The time is ticking. For every minute that passes, there's a parent feeling powerless to help their son or daughter without understanding that they have a family to support them, an ATPF family. Join the cause to help families with children on the autism spectrum.
Thank you guys for watching that. I hope what you took away from it is this relationship is really part of the heartbeat of Autism Tree. And it's a little bit hard for me to not get emotional, Julia, watching it. Just, I think we all have experienced just so much maybe reflection and thought during the pandemic. And that's one thing that Julia is here to talk about, is what it was like at Head Start before the pandemic and what it's like now, and why that's so relevant for us as we are trying to figure out too how to best move forward with our early intervention model, because we know preschool screening works. And what we're really, we have a new program that we've been starting, Julia, where we're trying to handhold the new families that have a diagnosis and give them 5 hours of guided therapy. So this is just really timely for us to really learn from each other. Like, okay, what is the current landscape, and where are we going, and how can we continue to learn from each other and support each other? I'm just truly grateful. Damon Carson has been such a big light to not only Autism Tree, but actually my son Garrett. And I really love that, because it reaffirms again why we're together. And that is because we care about each child, and we care about seeing them all the way through, to keep continuing to make a difference where they want to make a difference, and to break down barriers where they're trying to break down barriers, and go places that people with autism haven't gone before. That's what we want to see happening, and for all kids to be successful. I don't know if you know, Julia, but we continue to add on new programs. And one of the things we continue to make a focused effort on is as much as possible, our programs are to serve the whole family. So we care about the siblings too. And I really want to reaffirm that Rebecca and I today, when we were working on things, our Padres games are completely sold out with waiting lists. And we love when we have those opportunities, because we want to keep the family together. We want to keep having them enjoy life together, and keep the Autism Tree family growing and supporting each other too. So I just want to thank you, Julia, for the heartbeat that I feel from you. And just know that this legacy of us working with Head Start and NHA truly means so much. And we will continue to figure out together how to move forward after the pandemic, and what's going to be the best way we work together. So thank you, and warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Jana. I was like, I got a little choked up.
I know, me too.
I really such a warm welcome. And just to continue with a huge piece, the thread through what I'm going to talk about is relationships and the importance of them. I am a Head Start professional. I also am a parent of, now that I don't know if you've seen or heard of the Divergent movie series. And I was like, wow, we're the poster family for the neurodivergent in this home. And so while I don't have autism, I do have some other issues that I have to work with as an adult. And so this really speaks to my heart and appreciation for what you're doing for our communities and what we can do together as a program. So I am going to pull up my PowerPoint. I had written a couple notes down as you were talking. And so as I'm pulling this up, I'm wondering for those others who are on here, I see Jeff, Guadalupe, is that Laura, and then Carlos and Mark. I'm wondering, what do you know about Head Start?
You can type it in the chat, or
Mhm.
if you want to unmute yourself, you can do that too.
Well, I actually have never heard of Head Start until just now. So, but I do have, I mean, if Head Start would like me to share my experiences at some point in the future, feel free to reach out to me today. Feel free to reach out to me and stuff, because I know what it's like being on this of, going through the process of, getting your child ready for kindergarten and doing all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, like I said, I can, if anyone is ever looking for, if you guys are ever looking for someone like myself to reach out to the families you serve in any way, I'd be happy to help out. And my folks are the same as well. So
Thank you, Jeff.
you're
So
welcome.
it definitely is like, this day and age, especially when you put something in the chat, that's in writing. So definitely will be reaching back out to you for those who are from somebody from our team when the time comes. And so I see Laura, it's before going to kindergarten. And yes, our early NHA's early Head Start and Head Start program, what Head Start is, it's a federal grant. And so it's a grant that we receive from the Office of Head Start that says, hey, guess what? You've been awarded funds to provide services for children and families 0 to 5. And so we have our early Head Start and Head Start programs. A neighborhood house association is what's called a super grantee. So we serve the central, south, and east counties of San Diego. And with that grant, we provide early childhood education services, as well as comprehensive services, which includes the screenings that have been really emphasized so far, and connection to services. And we're also looking at mental health services, health services. So there's a lot wrapped around that whole approach, the whole family approach that is very tied to what Autism Tree does. And so that's done through our center-based program. So like a preschool. So we have centers that serve our infants. We actually have one that has our little babies, toddlers, and then our preschoolers, the 3 to 5 year olds. We also have home-based. So for families who may not be ready for their child to go to a preschool or a center-based program, or they just don't feel it's necessary, we want to make sure that we support families in the decisions for what they believe is best for their child. And so what we do is have home visitors that go to visit the home, where they create a learning plan for the child and for the parent, and help the parent develop stronger skills and ways to interact with their child to help prepare them for kindergarten. And lastly, that is the lesser known part of our program, is our services to pregnant women. And so women who are pregnant have a home visitor that helps them get connected and make sure that they go to their doctor's appointments. And also after the child's born, they help get them into whichever program option they would be appropriate for their family. So Head Start's been around since the 60s. So it's a longstanding program. Here, San Diego, we serve over 6,000 children and their families now in different capacities. As mentioned, just like everybody else with the pandemic, things changed. the number of children we serve, where we had in the classroom for our early Head Start, you have about 8 children. And for our Head Start, about 20. Now we're half that size. We're serving half the number of children because families have moved, families have gone and they're not working. And so they're at home and trying to figure out what they're going to do and really the reach out to them. So there's the services we're providing, but then the staffing. So as far as having the number of staff to serve children, just like everywhere else where there's staffing shortages nationally. Do you see what's the headline that they've said lately? Oh, it was the Great Resignation. We haven't had a lot of resignations, but still, even before that, we were trying to recruit teaching staff. And so that's just added on to the number of staff we need. The other piece within that, so within the services that are provided, and that also very much is tied to some of that staffing. When the pandemic first hit, talk about pivoting. We had to figure out how are we going to still help these children and families be ready when it comes to going to kindergarten. And that doesn't stop simply because we had to stop serving in person. Doesn't mean that children stop growing and families stop needing support. And so we went to online. And so we did have online school for the children, virtual school and virtual visits with the families to talk about any comprehensive services and social services needs they had. The challenge within that, technology is not perfect. And if there's any of you who have been on Zoom for this past couple years, you know it definitely is not perfect. And so, I think everybody has done an amazing job of doing the best they can. Teachers becoming more and more innovative and figuring out ways to make things interesting. Our home visits, the home visitors, also connecting with families. So if families did not have internet services, we're able to at least talk on the phone and just check in and see what's needed. So, and that kind of goes into that connecting and communicating with families. With the families that were already enrolled, the challenge of switching that dynamic and getting in touch with people, but then also for those families that we're trying to reach, there's so many, a lot towards the end of the year, each year, I think we lose, I want to say, maybe a little bit off, about 25, at least 25, 30% of our children go to kindergarten. So each year, that's a huge number of children that we're trying to recruit and help families get connected. And so trying to reach them has been very challenging because the ways that we normally would have done it, we're not in person. And so now we are in person. However, there's still those limitations of trying to be safe and healthy and keep staff safe and healthy and families safe and healthy while we're out there trying to recruit families. So we're really relying on word of mouth to let families know that we have this great free program out there. And so that really relying on the relationships of our current families, and then also connecting and communicating with the community. And so partners like Autism Tree and our different school districts are really vital, because otherwise there are families that we are not reaching that we possibly could. And another impact of the changes within the pandemic are within the community, our children that have special needs. So those children that may have been screened and flagged for follow-up, and then later receive a diagnosis of autism or another disability, end up may get services within our classrooms. And so that was pre-pandemic. And so now we've had to figure out what are we going to do to make sure children still get their services, even though their service provider may not be able to go into the classroom. That has been a huge, huge challenge. part of that is use of technology. And technology is definitely not a substitute for a person. However, just trying the different ways that we can meet the needs, and then also collaborating with the providers for them to see what is it they possibly can offer to families. Let's see. So here in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. Albert Einstein, there's always lots of opportunity that comes these days. So, while there's lots of challenges, there's definitely lots of opportunity. And so our lessons that there's those things that we've learned. And I was trying to find a way to say not just lessons, but things that have been emphasized as the importance of relationships. It's so much about the relationships with the children, relationships with the families, and relationships with our community partners and potential partners, and just the community in general, because it's through those relationships that we can make sure that there's those connections to help children and families who need our services to come in and get them. The other technology is a partner, not a replacement. There's lots of different activities that we could have on the computer. And as I said, services where the teacher we're all on the screen. And so using that as a partner and enhancing it. However, there's nothing that can match being together in person. I think, not sure how many of you had that experience, but once kind of being able to come out of the quarantine and seeing other people was a little challenging. But then at times it was like, wow, I really miss just being in your presence. And I think it's one of those things that we're constantly trying to navigate. So, but we definitely cannot replace people. Then creativity on how we're going to do what to accomplish our mission. How are we going to reach children? How are you going to screen them to help get them the services? Having that curiosity when it comes to those issues that may be frustrating or challenging, like, hey, wow, I wonder what we can do about this, because guess what? Zoom is down because everybody's using it. How do I reach those families? And then having the courage to try and not give up and keep on trying. Really what we all have had. And so the image I have on here is one that is kind of those underpinnings of equity and going beyond simply just including people, but really, really looking at all of the different pieces so that we truly have equity within our system to support every child and every family. So it's kind of been part of what's been going on here. And so now I thought it'd be a great time. I thank you all for just kind of listening. And so the interactive part is my favorite. So if there are any questions or wonderings or thoughts you'd like to share, we're all ears, or I'm all ears.
Thank you, Julia.
You're welcome.
Great. Thanks for including your contact info too. My first question is, if they want to reach out to Head Start, if a parent wants to reach out to Head Start, what's the best way to do that? And what can they expect when they connect to Head Start?
Excellent question. So if you go to our neighborhood house website, which I included here is www.neighborhoodhouse.org. If you go to our website, there actually is a link for Head Start and how to apply if you're interested. So that is one of the best things to do, because then one of our social service staff, family service advocates, will reach out and find out where you're located, what you're looking for, and help get you connected to the right program and location.
Yeah, I know. I've learned that from Head Start is a ton of different, I think 4 different branches. And
there's a lot happening.
Can you explain that a little bit?
So can you tell me a little, when you see branches, what are the 4 that you're referring to?
MAC, I
Okay.
understand is North County, NHA, of course, AKA, Jeremiah was part of AKA. And what am I forgetting? Am I forgetting another one?
Oh, so now that I know like what you're thinking, I can expand a little bit. So when the beginning, when I said that we're a super grantee, that means that we serve a lot of children and families, but we also have partnerships and delegates that we work with. So we hold the grant that's for Central, South, and East County. Now, AKA is our delegate that serves the East County. And then ECS, Episcopal Community Service, is our delegate that serves South County. Within that, we also have partnerships with National School District, Chicano Federation, Grossmont College, and Mesa and City colleges to provide services at their locations. And so that's where they're under us. And so Mac Head Start is actually another grantee that has their own delegates and their own partners. Also here in San Diego, there's Easter Seals as well as CAPSLO, so Community Action Project San Luis Obispo. So there's grantees that have services, and then like with us, Neighborhood House Association, we have our delegates and partners that they may also have as well.
Thank you for going into depth with that.
Well, yeah, it's confusing because when you say Head Start, it's kind of like, okay, Head Start. And then like, well, I want to be connected. Because like right now I live in Vista, which is in North County. And it's just like, oh, well, I want to be connected with the ones in North County. And so I know I could go to like San Diego Head Start website and I'll get connected. No, actually it'll be Neighborhood House. So helping delineate who does what and who's where is important. So thank you. That's a great question.
That's exactly why I asked. I mean, we have families all over San Diego County, and I want to make sure that we're giving them the proper information to find.
Mm-hmm. And we are a huge county. We have services even in Warner Springs. We don't have the grant for that, but some of our other agencies that are local serve all the way to Warner Springs, and we've got them up here in North County and all the way down to Border. So,
wow, that's fabulous. Well, I'll open it up to anybody else who wants to ask a question. You can type it in the chat. You can unmute yourself. Some people like to raise their hands, and I can make a note of it if you want to go next. I saw in the chat, Laura said, I think that what impresses me the most about ATPF, oh, thanks, Laura, is your courage to keep trying out things throughout the pandemic and how so much goodness has come out of it in online programs and the resiliency you all have. Thank you, Laura. It's really
Laura, your comment made me think about one of the byproducts of having to do so much online is that we do a lot of parent training, and Head Start includes governance by parents, which is another piece that I didn't include. I was like, okay, got to keep it short because I could go on forever. But part of that is like parent participation in certain activities and meetings has gone up because they can do it from home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to figure out how to get to a place on time. It actually has increased our participation in some areas, and that creativity that has to be used has really helped. There's some things have not helped, but then also there's things that have been great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love what you said about technology as a partner, not a replacement. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we have all of our programs we were able to transition 19 of our programs online. Mm-hmm. And now is the time that we're finally able to return those back in person, but we're not going to give up Zoom. We're going to keep doing these lunch and learns for those who are watching all over the country. And even with our global neuroscience conference, the world, we were able to reach 10 different countries. So it's definitely something that we'll keep around. And I love hearing that other community partners like Head Start are doing the same and still reaching people.
Jeff, you've had your hand up.
Well, I just wanted to piggyback on what said on what you said about technology is not, it's not a partner, it's a replacement. I think the key factor that we all have to remember is that there's a lot of families out there that live in very rural areas. And I think one thing that I believe the virtual aspect has taught us is that we can try to reach out to those families in those particular rural areas. And that's one thing that I've, discovered, through Zoom and stuff. And actually, one of the reasons why I offer both in-person and virtual options for going the distance, which is my business, is because there's a lot of families out there that can't afford to go from those rural areas to where the services are. And that's why I think we should keep those things going, but not to replace technology and Zoom and all that, but more for reaching out to families in those areas.
You're so right. One thing also came to my attention and not that I wasn't aware, but I have some colleagues that are also in education, and there are certain places they just didn't have power. How can you, if you don't have power, I think that the last thing you're worried about is the internet. You've got to power. I mean, you need power for your refrigerator, your food. And so really I think that's a huge question, and the trying and figuring out how do we reach those children and families that are in places that may not have even if you could go out and give everybody Wi-Fi's, and they're giving hubs and some great things where they've had buses that go into neighborhoods and are just kind of like that internet hub central, so everybody can have Wi-Fi in the neighborhood, is that if their power is out, they're still not going to be able to access it, because eventually everything's going to run out. And so you said it's great that you've mentioned that, because it's one of those things that needs to continuously be part of our conversations as we get excited about the technology, and how can we find ways to help those that are not able to get connected in ways that are meaningful.
Yes, and the only reason why I brought that up is because I have my older sister lives in Southwest Virginia, and they live in a very rural area outside of Roanoke. So that's what kind of got me thinking. And plus my youngest niece has she has kind of like a speech delay, and she might end up going on an IEP when she starts going going to school in a couple of years. So that's why I'm trying to, I wanted to, bring that up. So.
Well, one thing is that Head Start is national. And so a lot of times, and that's, I think, the huge piece within early intervention and getting the word out, is that you don't have to wait until they start elementary school. There are programs just like Head Start that get them in the 0 to 3, 3 to 5 range, so that they can get screened and access services. I know in California, the 0 to 3, it's an IFSP, an individualized family service plan, where we have children in Head Start with IEPs, and it's not uncommon and the most common one is speech, regardless of any diagnosis, but within the school district ends up being speech. And a lot of times they can get into elementary school, and that IEP is no longer needed because they've gotten the interventions that were needed to help support them, or they can continue that IEP, but build upon it and continue their growth. So even I know if you go on, and actually I'll put before the end, I'll put the link to the National Head Start, not the National Head Start Association, but our Office of Head Start, so that you can share that with those that are in other states of how they can find the programs close to them, because we do have services that reach out to rural communities.
Okay.
Yeah. So get her in there. We can help try to get her connected.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jeff, for bringing that up.
Mhm.
You're welcome.
Love it. So I have another question. You were a disabilities coordinator originally. That first photo that we showed of you.
Yes. I was like, oh my gosh, have I even seen this?
I found it on our Facebook.
Wow.
From 2015, and that's back when you were a disabilities coordinator, and now you're the senior education coordinator. When did you make that transition, and what shift in responsibilities and your role did changed in Head Start?
It's interesting. So I've been in early childhood education. I keep having to add a year. Oh my gosh. And for about 26 years. Yeah, I think, 26 in November. Wait, in December it'll be 27. Oh, wow. I've been in the field for 27 years and within the Head Start and with NHA for 13. And being disabilities coordinator was focused specifically on identifying and serving children with disabilities and ensuring that we have and supporting with that inclusion and connecting with the services. And so I want to say it was about, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, COVID kind of threw things off a little bit as far as timing, but I need to make a visual support for myself that has the timeline. And so that probably at 4 or 5 years ago, I transitioned to being education coordinator. And within that, it encapsulates all children. And so the focus isn't specifically on identifying those children that need support, but really looking at the curriculum and interactions with teachers and supports for those teachers. And I really feel as though that my time as disabilities coordinator helped really strengthened my ability to support teachers and help others support teachers in individualizing for children, and also help, people when, it's just the way our brains work, is that we have a little file folder for, this is what a disabilities coordinator is. This is what Autism Tree does. This is what whatever, you have these little folders in your brain. And so when you'd hear disabilities coordinator, that's all that kind of focus. The one thing within education is the folder is a little bit wider, and it includes that the children with disabilities within that file folder. And so really being able to reach in a broader scope. And then also in looking at our curriculum and identifying, is it a quality curriculum, if it really is authentic in its engagement with children and families, and is not exclusionary and doesn't keep things separate, but really, hey, this is a universal design for learning.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any questions? We have a few parents on here, and I recommend, engaging. We've got really so much expertise.
And that's the other, I'm actually on my, I started my doctorate program in January. And so my master's is in organizational management leadership. And then I'm working my doctorate for educational administration. And so part of that, a lot of it is when it comes to equity and social justice issues are really, really important. And the other piece I learned from working with my son, who has ADHD, and he's kind of like, well, he's an attentive type. And so not really believing that he has that something is going on, but more of, well, he can do it. He just doesn't want to. And knowing that, no, that's not it. And having to continuously advocate and say, no, there's something going on. And so as when I became disabilities coordinator, I realized I was like, it's executive functioning issues. And so really it's like, hey, these are the executive functioning issues that he's challenged with, and so much work and so much advocacy. And I'm sure some of the parents can relate to just the tears of frustration of like, all you have to do is ask him, do you have a pencil? No. Here, here's a pencil, now do your work, instead of watching him for an hour and saying he didn't do his schoolwork. And really helping administrators understand, especially in early childhood. Right now in the state of California, we have an initiative of universal preschool and transitional kindergarten. So families do not know that if your child is 4, they can go to a school district school, and it's not about income. And part of that, though, is helping parents know what to advocate for and what they can. It's like, it is not an unreasonable accommodation to ask a child, hey, before you do your work, do you have what you need? Do you have the paper? Do you have a pencil? Do you have this? Do you have your Play-Doh? Okay, go ahead. Instead of just waiting till they smack somebody or they just don't do anything. And then you're called in. I actually had, when he started kindergarten, the teacher said, he's always picking at the carpet. And I couldn't help it. The first thing I was like, well, what are you saying? Is it interesting? And I was like, so she was kind of like, whoa. It's like, well, no, I'm just wondering, and also he comes home and sings all the songs. So I think he's listening. He may be picking at the carpet, but maybe we can give him something else to pick on instead of the carpet, and he can still listen. And it ended up first grade, they wanted to take him out of the classroom because he wasn't sitting down. He wanted, when he was done with his work, he wanted to go and help other people. Oh my gosh.
Oh, so
but
sweet.
Which is great. However, it's not what you're supposed to be doing at that moment. And so I really want to help administrators, because that's where a lot of that happens, to help them understand the importance of early intervention and education and children with diverse learning needs, not just diverse backgrounds, but diverse learning needs. So see,
Laura typed in the chat.
Yeah, I see that. That's great.
She's working on a dual licensure in special ed and gen ed, so she can use it in the mainstream classroom as well as the special education field.
That's great. That's great. The more we can have that happen, the better.
How old is your son, Julia?
He is the same age as Dana's boy. He's 22. He'll be 23 in July.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love it. Jeff, I saw you had your hand up. Do you want to say something?
Julia, if you ever wanted to maybe collaborate at some point in the future, try to reach out to teachers and administrators, I'd be happy to take part. So,
I would love that. So anytime I can collaborate, my eyes are like get all lit up, and it's exciting because it's important that people know.
Yeah, because that's kind of that's kind of my core field right now is parents, professionals, teachers, administrators, superintendents. So that's really my core field right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome.
This is so timely because it's Autism Acceptance Month. So it's the perfect time to and awareness.
I wanted Rebecca to share something with you, Julia, that you might already know, and everyone on here. Can you share about the initiative that San Diego County has, that you've been talking to one of the supervisors whose child just got diagnosed with autism? Can you give a little shout out about that? Because it's something I'm really excited that we've been a little bit involved with.
Yes, I'm very excited as well. So the county, the supervisor, county supervisor, Tara Remmer, she has put together a table of different organizations that we were able to have our HBF board member, Phil Senescal, and who's also a father, as well as Michelle McGowan, who's a special education advocate and a mother to 2 boys with autism, speak at that table and that panel. And it's they're creating legislation to have San Diego County hire neurodiverse individuals. So San Diego County has over 18,000 employees, and we are part of the legislation process that she wants to put that through this year. So that's in progress. We're still having meetings.
And what is the goal? There's 18,000 employees, and what is the goal?
the goal is to hire 1% of the 18,000 to be neurodiverse individuals.
So what number would that be?
Oh, I can't do math.
I mean,
Mental math.
that'd be 18. I can't either, but I'm gonna
It's
do
only
it.
18, right?
That would be 1,800 jobs for neurodiverse people in San Diego County. So I just want everyone to know, like, I'm beyond thrilled. It has always been something I've been putting my own time, talent and treasure into. And for the neuroscience conference, we've always had, and Jeff's been part of it, Living Autistically panel. And we very much want our over 200 teens to help guide and support them on whether they're going to go to college, a trade school, or get a job, any of the above. So the fact that Rebecca, and as she said, Phil Sensical, who has 3 children, and his son Jack has autism, and their family's very on the front line in San Diego. I'm really excited. I don't know if anyone here on this Zoom call already had heard that or not, but I certainly wanted to share it with you guys. Thank you, Rebecca.
Well, thank you for listening. And we just reached time. So thank you for taking the time. And thank you, Julia, for sharing your expertise and also that everything you shared personally with you and your son and that experience. You are a light, and I can see that, you are in the right area. And I'm so glad that we were able to connect with you and educate our families on, that there's somebody that we can connect you to at Head Start.
Yes, thank you so much. And anytime, anytime. This has been wonderful.
I'd love to take a group picture before we go. It's tradition.
Yes.
So if you want to turn on your cameras, now's the time. And I'll do a little countdown. I'll go full screen. All right, ready? Big
Okay.
smiles. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Got it.
And then
Thanks, everyone.
thank you. And then I did put in the chat the locator for Head Start programs nationally. And then Jeff, I did get your email address, so that's great.
Very good.
Thank you, Julia. We're going to send out a
Thank you,
recap.
Julia. Wonderful job today.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. See you
Take
next
care, guys.
week.
All right. Thank you.